Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar has expressed concern over the image of the country and his party being sullied due to Dadri-like incidents. The Defence Minister spoke exclusively to India Today's senior editor, Gaurav Sawant.
Mr. Parrikar, you've been at the helm of affairs now at the Ministry of Defence for close to a year. What's been your biggest achievement? The transition from Goa to Delhi. How was the transition and your achievements, sir?
To list out achievement will be a long list, but I think it's just 11 months, and I will not list all achievements, but my biggest achievement is change in thinking pattern at the Ministry of Defence.
On Air Force Day, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Arup Raha, announced that women will now become combat pilots. Did you have a role to play in that decision? I'll tell you why I'm asking you this question. As you well know, when Manohar Parrikar Sahab was the Chief Minister of Goa, he had started a special drive for women to join the police force. So, did Goa experience help you there?
Obviously, on a lighter version of it, women are more combative. But I hope you don't misuse it for your... we Goans are quite humorous. I found humor to be missing in Delhi. But serious part of it, but on serious note of it, I see no reason why women has to be discriminated, because delivery-wise I find nothing lacking. They deliver equally well. In Goa, sometimes they deliver better, except politics. But 62% girls are the PhD and postgraduate student in Goa University, more than boys. But I will tell you one very important factor. It is important that we also take them as equal partners in everything. There are exceptions and nothing can be done overnight. It has to be done in a phases. Like for example, a lot of people told me in combat fighting operation, if tomorrow a woman is captured, women pilot is captured by enemy after the plane is shot, she can be malhandled to create a psychological pressure on the country. I agree with that viewpoint. How do you overcome it? It's very simple. You train them for fighter pilot. There are 3-4 kinds of duties. One which protect your own airfields and your own space.
Caps. Combat air patrol.
So you can combat air patrolling can be done. They can fight with the enemy. This. But I'll tell you one very important factor. When I met one of the UAE foreign minister, he told me that women fly their fighter pilot as a fighter pilot, and the first bombing on ISIS was carried out by a women pilot. So, if UAE is thinking so progressively, why should India lack, which always have respected women power? Our Prime Minister has been stressing on women power. So we decided that we go ahead with it.
Was this your decision or the Prime Minister's decision, or was this your combined decision?
Prime Minister's direction is to empower women, to see that they become focal point in all sectors, including defense. This is the outfall of that direction in general, and after discussing I told Air Force to go ahead with it. Of course, the official approval might take few more time because we want it in a framework guidelines. We want to give it to the Supreme Court also, whether it is Air Force, whether it is Army or Navy. We will like to treat women equally, subject to condition of number one, training availability and infrastructure. There are areas where these are not available, so this may take some longer time.
But that's a very big point you're making, not just as combat fighter pilots, but you're also talking about women in combat in the army.
Why not? Not immediately, of course. Why not is a question I'm asking. I can use them in same way like as I told you, for defense position in the Air Force, I can use them for counter-terrorism network or to fight the enemies or terrorists within the country. Mind you, the rebels and the Naxalites, they have women among their fighters.
Absolutely, yes.
So I don't see why the national force should not have it. Of course, it can be in a phased manner, in a specified manner and specific use.
There is one issue, and I'm sure there are some veterans even in this gathering, one rank, one pension. एक हवा सा बन गया because everyone talks about one rank, one pension. Even after you campaigned for it relentlessly, the Prime Minister announced it from the ramparts of the Red Fort. As he said, तिरंगे के तले मैं कह रहा हूँ. The protests are still continuing. Why hasn't one rank, one pension been given?
One rank, one pension is an 42 years old demand, which basically most of the Goans won't understand. I didn't know about it because Goa doesn't have a very high history of martial race or a history. But basically it comes out of basic fact that most of the armed forces retire early due to requirement of young army. You can't have a 55 years old Jawan climbing Tiger Hill in Kargil. You need 25 years old Jawan to go into that area, in those very treacherous type of areas. That takes toll on Jawans. And therefore the Indian army feels that the army should be young. At Jawan level, it is as young as average age of 25, 26. The Jawan retires at 35, 36, right in the middle of his social and family responsibilities. Because he retires young, his pension is comparatively less. He misses many of the pay commission, and therefore there was a demand from 1970. Incidentally, it was after winning Bangladesh war that the then Congress government, Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, virtually reversed the earlier formula of pension to the military veterans in 1973. So 73 से चलते आ रहा है. हम लोगों ने जब assurance दिया based on Koshiyari committee, lot of people quote Koshiyari committee. Koshiyari committee was accepted basically based on assumption of what Koshiyari committee itself said, that the cost will be around 1300 crores. Everyone was ready. In fact, if you see, just before election, the UPA government kept 500 crores for it, without understanding what actually it will cost. Our government also, because we had given assurance, immediately declared that we are doing it and kept 1000 crores for it. But when actual calculations started, those calculations varied from 5000 crores to 22,000 crores. Finally, I sat with the army, the veterans, and we came to somewhere around 8,000 crores as a right formula. With minor modification, the almost same thing has been, I'll put it in like this, what is accepted works out to be about 86-87% in terms of financials. Once in a 5 year is part of Koshiyari committee, para 6.4, where army itself has said very clearly that because of administrative and many other difficulties which will be faced, perhaps we can accept 1 in a 5 years increase. PMR issue is resolved. Prime Minister himself has declared no one should make an issue out of it. But I think I will have to wait up to Bihar election, because election commission is in no mood to give permission to actually issue the order. This is my understanding, and I will not like to be in a part of controversy. But basically, as I said, These are the formulas. PMR issue has been resolved.
So even those who take premature retirement will get
Yes.
one rank, one pension even in future.
Yes, that confusion started because the word VRS was part of that declaration.
Why was it there?
I think the interpretation got slightly mixed up. It was not intentional, but definitely the difference between VRS and PMR should have been understood. There is nothing called as VRS in army.
So that's again a very big headline point. So notification is done. You're only waiting for Bihar elections.
Notification is not done. Decision has been made. Details how it will work. I just clarified two issues. Financially, it is almost the same package, within 10-12% of what was earlier calculated. These are basically calculation errors and method of slight calculation. Almost the same package. And 1 in a 5 year, that has been made clear. As far as PMR is concerned, Prime Minister himself clarified.
Correct.
There is nothing left after that.
So notification after Bihar
Notification
elections.
after Bihar election, not before that, because I don't want to get into notice by Election Commission.
What has been happening in Uttar Pradesh? You know, all this talk about beef and murder and this tension. In Goa, you won elections not just because you had the Hindus with you, but you also took other communities along, other religions along. That has been your past. What is going wrong in Uttar Pradesh? You know, the opposition says this is a very deliberate strategy of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh to divide and then rule.
I will not try to do the dissection of the UP incident, but I will say one thing. I am a hardcore RSS from childhood. I can assure you that this has nothing to do with RSS. Basically, we should understand that the Indian society is a tolerant and very understanding society. And on most of the issues, we have always succeeded in solving the issues by discussion and compromises and understandings. These issues also needs to be resolved across the table rather than in a violent matter. Violence by anyone of any nature cannot be accepted. I am very firm on this opinion, and I am equally firm that these are the same principle the RSS holds.
What is your take on beef ban? You know, Yog Guru Baba Ramdev wants the Prime Minister to have a nationwide ban on cow slaughter, to have nationwide beef ban, as he says.
हर व्यक्ति बड़ी हो छोटी हो उसका ओपिनियन हो सकता है. In democracy, you have to listen to everyone. But a government has to take a decision based on various factors, including sensitivity of the subject, health, cruelty to animals. All these aspects will have to be taken into consideration, and the government decision has to be fair to everyone, because everyone will have a different solution. You may find a pure vegetarian who says that the world has to be veg. For argument's sake, let us assume that all world turns veg. कल वो सब्जी के भाव जो है वो 4 गुना बढ़ जाएंगे, and vegetarian people will not get food to eat if this happens. There may be a vegetarian who doesn't mind others eating all types of meat. There may be few who says that you can eat in your house, but don't. Because I have seen this happening in Mumbai also. A lot of vegetarian families. और मैं जब छोटा था मामा के घर गया था, उसके घर में जब फिश फ्राई होता था, the worst smell you can get is a fish fry. We love it, but vegetarian people hate it. So 2-3 बार almost झगड़े पे आ गया. तो दूसरे की सेंसिटिविटी भी ध्यान में रखे हुए इसके ऊपर सोल्यूशन और ये इशू के बारे में सोचना पड़ेगा. हर एक का ओपिनियन ध्यान में लेना पड़ेगा. This cannot be just decided by discussions in interviews. This will have to be decided with many factors involved.
Okay, but you know, when Prime Minister goes to the Silicon Valley, he takes the Silicon Valley by storm. Everyone buys India's growth story, the development story. When you travel across the country, and since the armed forces are the perfect example, not just of national integration, but also secularism in its true form in this country. Sarv Dharm Sthal, armed forces mein har jagah hote hain, sir. And when you see what is happening in a Dadri, or what is this happening with an eye on Bihar elections or forthcoming UP elections, as the allegations are,
I think,
how do you as Raksha Mantri of the country react?
I think these incidences actually damage the BJP or the NDA. It also damages the cause or the vision the Prime Minister has. And therefore, they cannot be in the interest of the BJP or NDA or the country. We should ensure that this type of incidents don't happen, one. And two, sometimes they are being blown out of proportion. I'm not referring to any specific incident, but I found that issues जो local होते हैं उसको national coverage दिया जाता है, maybe because some politician wants to make it a national issue. So I think we should be more patient, we should be tolerant, and issues should be resolved across board.
Beef ban is one issue, sir. The other issue is organizations like the Sanatan Sansthan. They are also grabbing headlines. There are allegations that there is alleged involvement in killing of rationalists. Whether it is a state like Goa, a state like Maharashtra, a state like Karnataka, should the Sanatan Sansthan, in your opinion, be banned?
See, I am an administrator. I will put it in one line. Any organization which is continuously encourages, plans, violence as a mean of propagating its viewpoint or silencing its opponent cannot be allowed to be part of democratic process. That's why we have Simi band, LET band, Jaish-e-Mohammed band. You ask your investigation agencies to investigate Sanatan, and if any member of it has committed murder as an organization's mandate, then definitely they need the action, because ultimately समाधान के लिए कुछ बैन कर दिया किसी को खुश करने के लिए या खुद का इमेज बढ़ाने के लिए doesn't sustain. Tomorrow you will have to sustain the order in the court. We banned Mutalik and we sustained the order in the successfully in the court, in High Court, and if I am not mistaken, even in Supreme Court. That means an order requires proper data, documentation. A singular member of an organization committing a crime doesn't make organization involved in it. I am not aware whether this is a fact, because this incident which happened in Goa happened during Congress government. Digambar Kamath was the chief minister. In 2009, there was an explosion at Margao. So I am not aware of the factual part of it. But I feel that any organization ban has to be properly, legally covered through an documented investigation. Otherwise, it will not sustain the test of legal scrutiny.
Spot on, sir. I now want to shift focus. You talked about Lashkar-e-Taiba, you talked about Jaish-e-Mohammed, you talked about Indian Mujahideen. Now, Indian Mujahideen, to a large extent, was whatever part was in our country has been tackled, I'm told. Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. As the Defence Minister of the country, does Pakistan continue to support these terrorist organizations as a state?
I don't know which terrorist organization they prefer, that I cannot tell you, but definitely there is a continuous attempt to push terrorists across the border, which normally happens under the cover of small arm fires, whenever there is an LOC break in ceasefire violation, most of the time this ceasefire violation is to ensure that some terrorists are pushed into Indian side from the launch pad. This is cover up so that you are engaged in firefight and then someone slowly sneaks in, 1 or 2 people or 3 people, through some breaking in the net or border fencing or river, nala and all that. So definitely there is support from Pakistan which it cannot be overlooked, nor they should deny it. They should stop it actually. As far as we are concerned, this year we have effectively countered most of the infiltration and has managed to eliminate or neutralize more than 70 terrorists across the border while losing around 23 or 24 jawans. That's a better ratio than last year and year before last.
6 months ago, and that is where the minister has me stumped, because he said, "Tum bologe 6 mahine pehle ye bola tha, 6 mahine baad ye." Lekin 6 mahine pehle, you'd given me an interview on Aaj Tak, on Agenda Aaj Tak, where I had asked you, can we defeat terror at its source? If the source of terror is Pakistan, and you are very clear about it, Government of India is very clear about it, how long will we remain reactive and lose lives while battling these terrorists? What is the way forward?
When I became Chief Minister, I had to face a problem of malaria, particularly falciparum. Why I am answering you? I realized there are 3-4 components for every aspect. One is, of course, the mosquito. 2 is breeding ground. 3 is vector or the virus. So nothing happens through one single solution. You have to attack all 3. As far as I told you very clearly, we will proactively block anyone attempting to enter India, and we will definitely neutralize if he tries to enter illegally. And we are not going to keep quiet on that. Our intelligence improvement has been done. However, I also feel that we need to address politically some of the issues which encourages Pakistan or any other terrorist organization to bloom or to get more support. We need to bring it to their notice what is happening in Pak-occupied Kashmir. How brutal Pakistan army is treating the population in occupied Kashmir. This has to be brought to the notice of Kashmiris. And I don't think after that they will ever think of Pakistan, because they are also proud people. But they have to be told that your brothers, sisters there, who are also part of India actually, are being brutally treated.
That's a very big point you're saying, Minister, because it's a fact. Pakistan army ill-treats people in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
They do it in other part of Pakistan also, but there is more
Balochistan, in Sindh. Now, that's a very, very important aspect you're raising, Minister. The atrocities of Pakistan army in Balochistan, the atrocities of Pakistan army in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Is it time for India to take up these matters and tell the world how brutal the Pakistan army is in their own country with our people in POK?
I think whether it is any part, human right violation has to be dealt seriously. But I feel that we need to put it before the world audience what is actually happening and how the country, because of its failures, and has become a ground for breeding terrorists, which is actually harming them more than India.
Minister, it was very kind of you to have joined us for this session. Son of the soil, Manohar Parrikar. This is an interview which shed a lot of light when it comes to issues like the country's defense preparedness, Pakistan, China, the external threats that we face, and the fact that you haven't abandoned Goa. That is something which is very heartening for everyone even here. Thank you very much.